is 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Hello, I'm Hillary D. Simpson. I'm your parent success coach, and I work with parents and organizations that serve children to help our children to become more successful. Well, today we are talking about screens. Is it as addictive as drugs? The question is, we know that if you're one of those parents, you're going to say, yes, I guess my child is upstairs in their room. They're probably watching their screens or they're probably on their phones. And you'd probably be right. Parents concerned about their children using technology and screens are at an all-time high. 66% of parents are concerned about the amount of technology that their children are consuming. And for good reason. We talked about the young children before, and we said that the young children, it causes delayed learning. But the older ones, they have a problem as well because they're spending even more time on their screens. The average student in the high school or teen is spending 7.5 hours per day on their screens, and that does not include homework. 7.5 hours average, which does not include homework.
Do you feel addicted to technology?
Yeah.
Yes. I could stop if I wanted to, but I don't want to.
4 hours a day, and Hulu and Instagram are my top.
Week was 5 hours.
I use my phone for 6 hours a day.
On an average per day on like a weekend, I'd spend 2 hours on my iPad and 3 hours on VR. I play video games, I watch YouTube.
Weekly total is 45 hours and 26 minutes.
44 hours and 3 minutes.
52 hours and 20 minutes. And my most used apps are TikTok and YouTube.
How long on TikTok?
16 hours and 20 minutes, and on YouTube 6 hours and 30 minutes. It's so addictive.
That is a big problem. Okay? So the question is, what does it do? What does it do? Well, what the research is showing is that it weakens the frontal cortex of your brain. The frontal cortex is where we have judgment and memory and attention being focused. And it weakens that. But at the same time, what it does, it increases the dopamine. And as you know, dopamine is a feel-good hormone. It feels good, so you're going to continue to do it. So they're making it feel good, so they continue to use the screens more and more. So in other words, they're kind of like dumbing the children down. They're making the judgment and the smart part of their brain, they're making that go down, and the dopamine feel good, it continues to go up. Do our children actually get addicted? Well, I want you to listen to Dr. Kardaras, who says absolutely yes, they do. Watch the video.
Psychology expert. He runs a rehab clinic, and his job is to allow drug addicts to regain their freedom. He wrote a book on children and screens, which was a wake-up call in the United States. He has appeared on numerous TV programs to talk about his book, referring to a digital heroin.
So the more I started working with young people, I started seeing that they were showing all the same clinical signs of classic drug addiction. Withdrawal, impulsivity, increased aggression. And so I started researching it. And the more I started researching it, the more I found out that these devices raised dopamine levels. They were dopaminergic, what we would say.
Dopamine, the key hormone to understanding addiction, the one that causes us to constantly check our phone. It feeds what is called the reward system. This reward system causes us to adopt key behaviors to our survival.
This is like a dopamine pump, and I have it with me 24 hours a day.
Change your brain?
Absolutely. There's been about a dozen brain imaging studies that have shown that the frontal cortex, which is the part of the brain right behind your forehead, the frontal cortex shrinks if you're on screens for an excessive amount of time.
So they're describing the screen, as you heard him, as a digital dopamine, and they hold this digital pump 24 hours a day in their hands. It's a digital pump which is full of dopamine because it makes them want to do the same thing over and over and over, regardless of the time spent on it. Okay? Now, teens, as we talked about before, they're the main targets of this economy. 9 out of 10 of the apps, average time spent, we said, is like 7.5 hours. Now, how does it work? Okay, so they don't really watch much TV. They use apps like Snapchat, and that replaces TV for them. So they do Snapchat, they do TikTok, they do YouTube. They're pretty much ones that they use. And the way that they make those is like there are lots of likes. You know, when you get all the likes and all the flames and all the hearts, it says that you're liked, or whatever you put out is liked. So the brain responds to that as wanting more and more and more. So they do more things to get the likes, and this is what keeps them addicted. Now, Dr. Khan's, and you'll see him too, he wrote How to Make App More Addictive, and he says the rewards are the key. So if your children play Roblox or any of those screens, they have things that reward them. That's why they want to do it. Yes, it's the rewards that hypes up this dopamine level that makes them want to do more and more. Businesses know that they're creating addicts. Do they know that they're creating addicts? Well, I want you to take a look for yourself. This young man named Sean, and he was with Mark Zuckerberg back in the day when they created Facebook. 12 years later, you could see that he starts saying, yes, they absolutely knew that it would cause a problem, an addiction problem, but they did it anyway. Okay, and I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to watch it for yourself.
This is a picture of Facebook's team when it was launched in 2005. At the bottom right, Mark Zuckerberg, its founder. Right next to him is Sean Parker, his associate. He radiates enthusiasm. 12 years later, in November 2017, he has gained some weight and some perspective.
You're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. And I think that the inventors, creators, and it's me, it's Mark, it's the, Kevin Systrom at Instagram, it's all of these people, understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
Now, it's another Facebook executive's turn to step out of the shadow.
The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works. If you feed the beast, that beast will destroy you.
You said that this is a time for soul searching. What soul searching are you doing right now on that?
I feel tremendous guilt. I think in the back, deep recesses of our minds, we kind of knew something bad could happen. I can control my decisions, which is I don't use this shit. I can control my kids' decisions, which is they're not allowed to use this shit.
Also, the former vice president of Facebook is saying that, yes, we knew that there could be a potential problem, but yes, we continue to do it. But what he says is, I don't allow my children to use the screens. My family does not use the screens, so it's not really a problem for me. Now, can you imagine? They're creating this for us to consume, but they don't consume it because they know that it is a problem. We are the people who we feel that we're customers. We're not the customers. We get Facebook and Instagram and all of those apps for free. Yes? So we're not the customers. They don't care. Are not working for us. They're working for the people who pay them the money, who are the advertisers. The advertisers are paying for our eyes. So once they're paying for our eyes, we're really the product. They want our eyes and our ears. They pay for it, and they give us stuff that's going to hook us so we can continue to stay on it over and over and over and over. That is serious. Our children are actually, they're losing themselves. Adults are addicted, and they're having a problem with it. But the young people and the young children are the ones that we should be very concerned about because they don't have an education yet. And will they ever be focused enough to have an education and function well? That is causing a big problem. There's a book called Hooked that describes how they get you to be hooked. And you'll see it in the video. So they shut down the parts of the brain, the frontal cortex, that is in charge of reason and all of that. And then they make sure that the dopamine levels are higher. That is how you get hooked. All right. So the question is, if these people are doing it, don't they mess with their own children? Because all young people are watching screens. That's a good question. They actually don't, because they don't send their children to our schools. Silicon Valley sends their children to Waldorf school, and technology or screens are prohibited. And you'll take a look and you'll see that is prohibited. It is not being used there. Take a look.
Here is the paradox. More and more professionals of the digital industry control their kids' access to digital machines. In Silicon Valley, where it all started, their kids go to a school where screens are totally prohibited. The Waldorf School is a private academy with fees of $25,000 to $30,000 a year. It's the price to pay for an education with chalk and color. Who work as developers in Silicon Valley, a digital-free education is, in fact, good training for work in the digital apps industry.
The queen carouses to thy fortune, Hamlet.
So,
wait a hand! Hamlet! Hamlet!
The more you step back through companies into smaller and smaller environments and get at a place where you have to be at kind of a pure white space creativity level, the more you realize that you don't need any of the technology. All you really need is the creativity. And then you go find the tools that you need to make those creative ideas.
Now that we know what's going on, what is it that we are now going to do as parents? We see that we have been sold a bill of goods, and now we have to start fixing our children on our own. You can't wait for big tech to fix your children. Big tech is looking for big money, right? And we are the product, unfortunately. So what are we now going to do? All right, so you need to delay screens for as long as possible. Don't give it to them when they're in first grade or second grade. The average age, I understand, that they're giving them is 12 years old. So delay it as much as possible, right? And make sure that they earn screen time. Don't let them just use their screens, okay? Let them earn the screen time. Make sure that there are limits. There's an app called Screen Time, which I understand is free, and that you can keep track of the amount of time that your child spends on the screens. Monitor what your kids are watching. Make sure you're monitoring it. Set some ground rules and make sure that you're a good role model. Make sure that you're not spending too much time on your screens. And know that the time that you are watching, they're making more money off of you and your family, and you guys are the ones, we are the ones that are feeling this effect, this drug effect. The good thing is, if you stop your child from doing it, we understand that it comes back. So it doesn't affect them forever, as long as you make sure that you're monitoring, you're watching the amount of time that they're spending on social media and on their screens, and that, you know, if you do all of that, then you'll see that their brains will come back. But if you continue to let it go and feel like it's nothing and everything is fine, it's not all fine and dandy. Okay? Remember, parents, okay? Every child deserves the right to have a bright future, and you cannot leave it up to big techs. We have to make sure that this is done, and that depends on you. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Limit it and do all the things you need to do. Okay, I'm Hillary D. Simpson. Subscribe, share, comment, and like, and I will talk with you in the next video. Bye.